portfolio on agriculture, food, nature, and rural development. May I kindly request for a closing of the doors in the back, please? I know we will welcome more participants, but they may open the doors. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So my name is Charlene Shillingford McClellan, and I'm a principal procurement specialist, and I'm assigned to the agriculture portfolio. So this is the agriculture family, and we welcome you to this afternoon session. So I will first explain to you how we will deliver this afternoon session. We're going to start with a welcome message from our senior sector director, King Feng Zhang, and he will be doing this virtually. We will put him up online in a few minutes. After his welcome remarks to our session, which gives us actually an overview of the direction of ADB's agriculture portfolio, we're going to go into a short video, just 2 minutes, on accelerating food systems. Following that, we will then have a presentation from our colleague Sanath, who is the director for the East Asia department, and he will be presenting live online. So after these 3 initial video interventions, I will then invite our directors and colleagues who are presenting to you in person today to the podium. Okay, so that is the format. So without any further ado, I'd like to ask our video room to ensure that our Teams link is up and that we may begin to see our senior director and receive his wonderful opening message.
Thank you so much, Shani. Thank you. I supposed to come to in person to welcome one of you in Manila. But because of we have the very urgent mission, so I need to deliver this remarks virtually. So again, it's my privilege to open this business fair, and very importantly, is your innovations ideas going to have a very important interactions together with our opportunities partnership that can convert ADB's ambition program into the actions. I don't know. I have the few slides. I ask a colleague. So yeah, stay with this slide. For the agriculture, food, nature, rural development sector office, again, this is one of the most significant impactful program. This is $40 billion for the agriculture food system transformation for Asia Pacific. Many of you know, I attended the annual meeting in Milan. You probably know that our new president, Kanda-san, announced plans to expand our support for the long-term food and nutrition security in Asia Pacific. And now this program aims to $40 billion to transform the food system across Asia and the Pacific. And then this program includes both our sovereign operations, mostly from our agriculture, food, nature, rural development sector office, and same time also includes close to 27% from our private sector operations. Of course, later on, my colleague Martin going to share the program from the private sector operations. Again, this $40 billion is not only just about the figure or the scale, but more importantly is introduce a new mechanism, new innovations, new modalities to help the Asia Pacific transform to the more secure, sustainable, and inclusive future. Next slide. Before I go to the more detail about this new incremental $26 billion food system transformation ambition, I also want to take this opportunity to share with you for the last 4 years, ADB already on the right track to deliver the $14 billion and committed, which was announced by the former President Massa in 2022. Again, by the end of the last year, we delivered $11 billion for the food security already. Many of them focus on short-term responses, particularly addresses crises from the Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Mongolia, and many others. But at the same time, also introduce an instrument for long-term resilience, including smart agriculture, digitalization of agricultural value chain, and same time also the nature-based solutions. Again, by end of this year, we are on the right track to deliver this $14 billion investment. From this slide, you can see our program had covering the full spectrum of food security dimensions, including natural capital, water resources, agricultural value chain, rural development, improve their productivity, and of course, a private sector side also involved the agribusiness, financial intermediary, supply chain financing, and so on and so forth. One thing I want to highlight, in addition to the normal project investment, we also introduced a policy change, like we introduced policy-based lending in Philippines, $500 million to help to stabilize rice subsector. We also introduced irrigation policy change in Georgia for the sector development program to reform the irrigation policy. Next slide. So this is one slide I want to quickly to share with you. When the President Kanda come to announce the $26 billion commitment for the 2026 and 2030, this program focus on resilience, adaptation, innovation. You can say this is a half of them going to go to building the food system resilience against impact from the climate change and also the biodiversity loss. And same time, we also introduce some program to mitigate the GHG emission as well. For this program, we are right now introduce 5 flagship programs, as indicated in this slide. Again, resilient river basin initiative in the Southeast Asia, sustainable rice farming across Asia, graduate farms climate action program in Central Asia, and also right now we work on the mountain to data, healthy river ecosystem in South Asia as well. And same time, later on, Sanas, he now is travel with me. He going to discuss about the natural capital investment. Of course, one of the key areas is natural capital financing instrument. So this initiative, later on, Sanas, Yasmi, Jiangfang, and Martin, their directors are going to discuss in more detail, but one of them going to drive the innovation, finance, partnership across the region, creating a tangible opportunity for one of the colleagues in this room to support. Of course, they also have an opportunity to engage the private sector as well. So ambition not only just about the figure, but more importantly is talking about a partnership, particularly the business opportunity with one of you guys in the room to work together with us. We invite one of the potential companies to engage directly with our regional directors, with our team leaders, and also explore the opportunities for this priority initiative. More importantly, is to co-create the solutions that can deliver impact and the scale. To give you a closer look on this pipeline, the concrete opportunities, I will invite our sector directors to share the detailed programs. And also I encourage you to listen, engage, ask the questions, and imagine how your expertise and innovations can be part of this transformative journey. So I believe together with you guys, we can ensure the Asia food system not only just feeding the people, but also can nourishing generation to come. Let me just pause here and pass back to you, Shani.
Thank you very much, Senior Director, for this detailed presentation. Actually, our presentation right now is an overview for you of the direction that our sector is going in. And I don't know how many of you are excited, as I am, to hear us talk about an additional 26 billion coming to 2030. So this is big news. I mentioned earlier, while I was in the other auditorium, that every year at the BOF, 50% of the participants are new to the BOF. They've not been here before. So some of you, so I might assume that half of you were not in attendance last year when we were in this very room talking about agriculture, and I had said to participants, you cannot leave this room unless you tell me what the two numbers represent. There was a 14 billion number and an 11 billion, which was our pipeline. And you heard our senior director mention to you that we are on track to delivering the initially promised pipeline. And again, now I'm not getting ready for an additional 15 billion, but 26 billion. So it's very, very exciting news. And we are eager to share it. So what I'd like to do now, well, before I invite our video room to prepare the video recording, which is scheduled to be shown now, I would like to say how encouraged we are to see that we have a very full room this year. I do want to indicate that there are a few chairs up front that you can join. I see 2, 4, maybe 5 spots. If some of you are brave enough to come on up, we welcome you. And so I invite now the video room to begin our video presentation, and then we will go into the second video message from Sanath. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. And I'd now like to invite Sanath Rawana, our Director for East Asia and Natural Capital and Climate, to deliver his virtual presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Charlene. Am I audible? Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Okay, good. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sanath Ranavana. I'm a director for a team called the Natural Capital and Climate Change team within the AFNR sector group. It's a cross-practice team which works on essentially on natural capital projects across all regions, from Central Asia to Southeast Asia, East Asia, and the Pacific and South Asia. But I'm also the focal director for East Asia. So I will be talking about both the natural capital approach that we are proposing and promoting at ADB, which is conceptually a sort of somewhat new thinking, and then secondly about East Asia and the pipeline in these both spaces that we have. So just very quickly, when we at ADB are looking at a new approach on the way we do business in the area of natural capital, starting with the premise that most of our natural capital investments in the past have been purely sovereign lending directly to sovereign governments for implementing specific one-off type projects on nature positive investments. And we're finding that that model alone is not sufficient. There's a huge financing gap in terms of achieving targets in nature investments, and we need to think differently. So in terms of how we think differently, we have structured an approach we call the natural capital approach. It basically comprises of 4 pillars, which you can see on this slide. The first is we do better. Sorry, can you go back to the previous slide? Yeah, thank you. So the first is to do better assessments and understand the importance of natural capital. That's through better understanding of the stocks, the natural resource assets, but also the flows, the ecosystem services that generated from these natural resource assets. The second is to look at financing mechanisms more innovatively. So rather than, like I said, just looking at just sovereign lending on its own, we're looking at more innovative blended financing facilities and instruments, which also tap private investments and from working more closely with our PSOD colleagues, private sector department colleagues, and identifying new ways of blended financing for nature positive investments. The third pillar is on then to create these enabling innovative financing opportunities. We are going to work more in the area of enabling conditions, enabling policy and institutional arrangements that would make these new innovative financing arrangements possible and sustainable. And then the fourth pillar is on partnerships. We want to work much more with partners who are more familiar with these new innovative financing instruments, but also in developing new financing opportunities like biodiversity credits, carbon credits, and things like sustainability linked bonds. These are all the types of new innovative instruments that we are trying to pursue. And so we really wish to work more with partners who know this space better than us. And within this framework, we will be doing what we broadly call upstream, midstream, and downstream work. And I'm not going to go into any detail on this, but you can see the type of upstream work that we would do under each pillar, or the midstream and downstream work. And together, once we do this structured approach, we hope that we will be moving towards a more sustainable and more inclusive and more sort of larger financing structures and financing for nature than we have been doing in the past. So next slide, please. Now, to operationalize this approach, we have developed a technical assistance project called the Natural Capital TA, Scaling Up Natural Capital Investments in Asia and the Pacific. And it has 4 outputs which are broadly aligned with the 4 pillars that I just described. So far, we've mobilized about 2 million, but we are on track to mobilizing more resources to implement this program. Next slide, please. Okay, so that's what we're doing in the space of natural capital. And now in the East Asia region, which is what I'm responsible for, our projects have largely focused on natural capital projects. In fact, in China, most of our work is along the Yangtze River as well as the Yellow River basins, looking at this landscape approach of, from the top, from the mountains to the delta or glacier to farm, as you may call it in other regions. But basically looking at a landscape-based approach of investments in mostly on ecosystem restoration, ecosystem conservation, and also then combining those with eco-compensation, which is a very unique way in China of compensating upstream farmers and land users to do better soil and water management, to reduce pollution, sediments, and other things downstream. So we've had a big, fairly large, extensive investment in the Yangtze River Basin of about 3.5 billion. And we are working on a program in the Yellow River as well. In Mongolia, our focus has mostly been on climate change and sustainable development by looking at livestock and grasslands management, as well as agriculture, high value agriculture. We've also had a project in tourism, and we hope to look at that. And that's a project that's combining tourism with nature positive investments, so ecotourism essentially. And we are increasingly working in the area of disaster risk management. Next slide. The next two slides have a list of our projects in the pipeline for this year and next year. So this is a pipeline of projects in loans, and the next slide shows the pipeline of TAs. I won't go into any detail because I think I may run out of time. But if you ever want to reach out to us about any of these projects, we can please be happy to explain them to you further. So just then the last slide. So just to give you a flavor of what we are looking for, if you like, differently from our old business as usual model, what we're looking for is partners with strong focus on operations, people who understand how to do projects on the ground, and nature positive projects, which are very much projects working with, very characteristic of South Asia is that most landowners in upper watersheds, wetlands, and so on are smallholders. So we need people who know how to work with smallholders and to be able to structure deals, investments that are very inclusive. As you might have gathered, our perspective is on nature-based and hybrid solutions and taking a landscape-based approach so on. And then the financing mechanisms, what we are really interested in are the new, like I said, the innovative mechanisms like funds, like water funds, which have worked quite well in South America, for instance. We are also very interested in exploring opportunities for carbon and biodiversity credits and payments for ecosystem services, but also other things like sustainability-linked bonds and green bonds. All of these opportunities for which we can use blended financing arrangements to support nature positive investments. I think I'll stop here, and I'm happy to take any questions if there are any. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sanath, for your presentation. So I will remind our audience that we will have a Q&A session at the end of the delivery of all presentations today. So I believe that Ching Feng and Sanath will remain online for the duration of the hour and will be able to be part of the Q&A session. So I will explain, well, before I explain to you how we will deliver the next part of today's program, I do want to remind you, if you have any questions, to put them in the Events Air app. I have this tablet there somewhere, and I will be screening all your questions and posing the questions to our panelists at the end of the session. So what I will do now is invite Yasmin Siddiqui, our Director for Central West Asia and the Glacier to Farms program, to come up to the podium to deliver her presentation. Now, I will invite only Yasmin right now because I realize that our chairs might hinder your view of the slides. So whereas I had planned to invite all our panelists up, we will do so one by one, and then we will come back up for Q&A to be all together, including procurement at the table. So Yasmin, please.
Okay, good afternoon to you all, and great to see such an excellent turnout in this room, and I can see the crowd at the back as well. So this is very positive for us coming from the sector. I'd probably, given the interest of time, request the team to skip on to our first slide. Just as Charlene mentioned, I'm Yasmin Siddiqui. I cover Central and West Asia region. So those are the countries from Pakistan all the way around to Georgia. So a very vast and diverse set of countries. And for many of you who may not be familiar, we've also had recently Turkey joining our region as a borrowing member country. So to start off with, as described by Senior Sector Director, I'm going to skip through the first 3 slides quite rapidly. We cover very similarly to, as described in the opening, 3 main business lines: water resources management, all the way from macro governance at river basin level, all the way down to irrigation and flood risk management, with participatory approaches and including community resilience. Perhaps one of the biggest changes we've had in the approach over the past years is to bring out the concepts of adaptation and resilience, from infrastructure concepts to governance concepts, all the way down to building community resilience. Just checking where we are on the slide. So we also have agriculture as another area of business lines, and as Sanat described, one of the growing areas for our business lines in Central West region is livestock and pasture management. So just recently, in the past 2 years, we've seen tremendous interest from countries such as Uzbekistan, Armenia, and also Tajikistan to look at livestock management, but side by side, fodder and feed management systems. And I would say this is quite a challenging new subline for that business line, and finding suitable partners who have past experience is really important for us. The third area is what Sanat already described. It's around nature solutions, looking at ecosystems management, wetlands restoration. Although we only have 1 country, now 2 with Turkey, but Pakistan is the only one with a coastline in addition to Turkey. But we do have lake restoration and wetlands management, also drainage improvement. I should just add on the water resources business line, another growing area of interest, and coming up from nearly all of our countries, is the interest and revival of dams. So perhaps as we see more climate impacts and variability, we had also anticipated this growing area of interest. But now I'll come to our really high point, and not to have a pun, if the room at the back could go forward, please. Yep, and just stop here. So not to have a pun, but high point is our new major launch of a Glaciers to Farms program. This is a regional program covering 9 countries in our region. It is also multi-sectoral, so not just linked to our agriculture, food, nature, and rural development sector, but also covering health and social sectors and the water and urban. Essentially, this slide depicts it all. We're looking at accelerated glacial melt, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with from the recent glacial lake outburst floods that we've seen in Nepal and other countries. We've seen floods emanating from glacial melt in Pakistan very recently. And this initiative is looking at that landscape-based approach, all the way from glacial monitoring, all the way down to the impacts of glacial melt. At the farm level, but also at the community level, in terms of access to sanitation, access to drinking water, and also looking at how the glaciers can also have implications for livestock farming as well. So what we're seeing more of is, of course, the lake outbursts, floods, the unpredictability as we're seeing glacial melt. But also tied into that in Central Asian countries are mud flows and landslides. So we also have a project in Kyrgyz Republic on landslide risk management. So the combination of disaster risk management is very much a cross-cutting feature of this initiative. Next slide, please. That's it, thank you. So this just summarizes the overall program. And as you can see, we're looking at the regional context. We're looking at about $3.5 billion worth of ADB's financing. So it's a huge pipeline of investments, as mentioned, multi-sector. Importantly, and the most exciting feature for us is the GCF component. So we've applied for a GCF grant financing of $250 million, which is due for, fingers crossed, approval at the end of October, which will co-finance and leverage these activities. And this really opens up many doorways for us, because some of you may be familiar with the fact that we have countries, and particularly in Central West Asia region, we have a large number of countries, 6 out of the 11, which are our upper middle income countries. So finding co-financing resources such as those from the Green Climate Fund really provides leverage to access and enter into some of those critical areas that clients may not otherwise see as so immediate or high priority for borrowing from ADB. So we see this really as opening many doorways. Next slide. And next slide, please. So this slide covers the key areas of the Glaciers to Farms program, and this may be of interest for you. We have 3 buckets of activities. The first one is really the upstream planning, climate risk assessment, glacial risk assessment, and the knowledge work to guide governments on the type of interventions they could be looking at. So I would sort of capture that as that knowledge upstream effort. The center part may be of real interest to you as well, which is all the investment areas. So we're looking at the early warning systems for flood, as well as glacial melt, as well as for heat, because heat stress is a part of this overall program. Secondly, on the watershed and resilient landscape, so we see the revival of interest from governments in watershed management. And again, this links in very much to the livestock management and pastures and feed systems. Thirdly, we have climate smart agriculture and agriculture value chain. So this has been a really growing area of work for us, particularly because we work with countries where horticulture is a key commodity, and we've been working to add value in those areas. And lastly, on the social protection and health systems, as described earlier. So this could be social safety net programs as well. The last area is looking at financing and innovative financing, lending through financial intermediation or other efforts to small and medium enterprises. But I would say this central area is really the one that we're quite keen to look at, including irrigation systems, flood risk management. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, I'm just going to run through a couple of sample projects in the interest of time, which illustrate this diversification we're seeing in our region of the types of interest areas coming out from the clients, and I would say very much linked into the national determined contribution and the national adaptation plans. So we have our first forestry project coming up. We're looking for approval next year. This is in the Kyrgyz Republic. It's the largest walnut forest in the world, and this has got a challenge of livestock overgrazing in the forest, where we're seeing the forest depleting. So a very innovative project, a very challenging type of area to work in, but we'll be very much interested to listen to you as well, if any of you have expertise or experience in this area. Next slide. This is a flood risk management project, and our project officer is here in the audience as well. This is in Pakistan, where again you would have seen in the last months this tremendous floods affecting this province of Punjab. And this is looking at the hill torrents management through a combination of, again, landscape-based approaches, but importantly, nature-based solutions. I should just add that cross-cutting across all of our work is the innovation, technology introduction, and of course, gender and community resilience. So while we may not be stressing that on all of the slides, but really what we're looking for are those critical thematic areas and driving change and innovation technologies into our solutions. Next slide. Another Pakistan one, this is focusing on coastal area this time of coastal flooding, so drainage improvement, but community resilience. And I'll go to the next slide. Livestock example of digital livestock. This is from Tajikistan. So I always have this great menu. It would be a great restaurant if we could show this as a restaurant, but we have this great range of projects all the way from forestry to livestock. This is looking at applications of digital technologies to manage herd movement and landscapes, and have a particular component for alternate livelihoods for women and their inclusion in the value chain. Next one. This is Uzbekistan, where we're seeing tremendous expansion and interest in water resources. Of course, it's a downstream country, so heavily impacted not just by glacial melt, by upstream diversion of flows as well. And this is for a very major initiative which will be programmatic, expecting to have this implemented over a number of years, comprising at least 2 dams, reservoirs, watershed, irrigation modernization, and community resilience building to variability in water flows. I believe I have one. Oh, that was it. So look forward to answering your questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yasmin, for such a wonderful presentation, taking us through the direction of the sector in that particular region. So it was quite wonderful. I do want to say to participants, what we've done, what we're doing differently this year versus last year is that we do have all our list of pipeline projects for you with all the packages. We will be providing those in the end via QR codes, although some presentations will include a few tables that would highlight some flagship projects. So do not worry. This is actually planned in this new format to really pull you deeper into our sector and the direction, the trajectory of our sector for the coming decade and beyond. Okay. Now, without further ado, I would like to invite Yoshiaki Kobayashi, our Principal Water Resource Specialist and PAU Head for South Asia Agriculture Value Chains and Nutrition, to come up to the podium to deliver his presentation.
Good afternoon. I'm Yoshiaki Kobayashi, Unit Head of Project Administration for East and South Asia. Today, I make presentation for South Asia, and our team is South Asia and Agricultural Value Chain and Nutrition team. My director is on mission, so I make presentation for my team. So this slide shows our key areas. Our key areas are 5 pillars for transforming food system. So agriculture and value chain development, environment and natural resources, infrastructure for food systems, social protection, and nutrition and health. Digital technology is common to these 5 pillars, and our targets are to increase availability of food, stabilize food systems, and improve access to food and utilization of food. So this shows key opportunities for each of the 5 pillars. For agriculture and value chain development, promotion of inclusive low-emission agribusiness models, and also promotion of climate smart agriculture. Also use of digital and energy efficient technologies. For environment and natural resources, restoration of ecosystems and promotion of nature-based solutions, and integrated river basin management. For infrastructure for food systems, investment in irrigation, storage, transport, and cold chain, also low emission technologies. And for social protection, connection of vulnerable populations to safety nets, insurance, and emergency food support, also community-based adaptation and disaster preparedness. And for nutrition and health, strengthen flood safety and link agriculture with nutrition, education, and primary health services. This is our portfolio. So our sector has 118 active projects, out of which 21 active projects are for South Asia. Currently, we don't have active project for Bhutan, but we are processing one project for Bhutan for approval this year. And we have 7 projects in India and Nepal. But in terms of amount, India has the biggest portfolio in our sector in South Asia. The next TA portfolio, our sector has 82 active TAs, of which 14 are for South Asia. Also, India has the biggest TA portfolio. And I want to show some projects. This project is building India's clean plant program. This was already approved. And I will show video of this project later. Next, also India, inclusive and sustainable bamboo value chain development in northeastern India. This project is expected to be approved this year. Total amount 106 million, of which ADB loan 53 million. This is to develop climate resilient, inclusive and sustainable bamboo value chains in northeastern India. And next, grant project for Sri Lanka, transforming irrigation systems for improved food security project. This is also expected to be approved this year. And the last one is Bhutan, also grant project, enhancing food security through smallholders climate adaptive potato production. And this table includes expected consultant recruitment and procurement. So under existing technical assistance, we will planning to advertise several consulting services. These are international advertisement. Also, Sri Lanka Mahaweli Water Security Investment Program Stage 2. This project is expected to be approved this year. Under this project, there will be several procurement and consulting service. All will be advertised internationally. But these are just part of future consultant recruitment and procurement. So please always check ADB website. You can get information on projects, tenders, and procurement plans from ADB website. So next, short video for India Clean Plant Program.
Great harvest lies a challenge. Plant diseases silently reduce yields, cut incomes, and limit our true potential. Across the world, these threats have had devastating effects, from citrus greening in the US to olive tree dieback in Europe. Clean plant programs were their solution. Globally, countries like the US, Canada, and Australia have long used clean plant centers to stop the spread of plant diseases. These centers test, clean, and multiply only the healthiest materials, ensuring higher yields, better quality, and economic resilience. To support farmers and improve orchards, India launched its own Clean Plant Program, an ambitious step towards a disease-free, productive horticulture future. Backed by a 1,765 crore investment and supported by the Asian Development Bank, CPP is led by the National Horticulture Board and ICAR, building world-class clean plant centers across India. These centers will clean and certify planting materials and partner with private nurseries to ensure farmers receive healthy, high-yielding plants. Clean, certified, trusted. The Clean Plant Program is more than a project. It's a movement towards stronger farms, resilient crops, and a sustainable horticulture future for India.
Thank you. This is the end of my presentation.
Thank you very much, Yoshi, for your presentation. So we have 3 more speakers on our agenda. One of them is virtual, though, and he has to leave. So if you do not mind, perhaps I request the online colleague to deliver first, and then I will call our director and then procurement. So if I may ask the back room to confirm with me that Martin is connected and ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
You are
Good
ready?
afternoon, everyone.
Super. Okay, thank you, Martin. You have the floor.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Martin Lemoine. I'm part of the Private Sector Operations Department. As we know, the PSOD, the Private Sector Operations Department, is the department that works directly with the private sector. We provide loans, equity, or as well as technical assistance to the private sector. I can share my screen, or I'm also happy to use the presentation online, whatever is best. If you could move to the next slide. Okay, great. Okay. So this is to give you a flavor of what we do. Essentially, we work with the entire agri-food value chain, from seeds to supermarkets, as we say. But just to give you a sense, we work with ag input providers. So that would be fertilizer companies, seed company, as well as animal feed companies. We work with farming and forestry companies, and that would include livestock farming, forestry, as well as horticulture. We also work with the large traders or merchants that move food from one side of the world to the other, and that will be named like Ecom, Louis Dreyfus Company, OFI, and the likes. And then further down the value chain, we work with food companies, food processors, across everything from dairy to pasta and all the food products. And finally, and last but not the least, at the end of the value chain, the supermarkets or the food retailers are incredibly important for food security and nutrition because they really make food available. So as you know, I think this is the end. I mean, and of course, at the end of it, there is this whole recycling idea that a lot of the biomass of the food and the packaging has to be recycled. And so that's a very important space as well that we are looking at. Overall, we are talking about 450 million farmers that are connected to this value chain. We are talking about 4.5 billion consumers in Asia. So we are sitting on a mountain of a huge challenge, but a huge opportunity as well for business. And as you know, in this space, in the agri-food space, 80% of the investment needs or in the investment are made by the private sector. It is a sector that is naturally driven by the private sector from the farmers to the retailers. On the next slide, I'll show you a few examples of the kind of project that we do. So for example, this one. On the input, for example, we gave a $30 million loan to a fertilizer company in India for a very high efficiency fertilizer. And so this project has impacted already 2 million farmers. Sorry, I'm just going to open the slide to read it better. And we've combined that with some technical assistance as well to train 2,000 farmers. The next example is in the horticulture space, and it's $20 million loan to a company called Haas Farm. I'm not going to talk about it because I have a video that talks about it, so just wait for the video. The next part is the trading and food processing, and we made this $175 million loan to Olam for 4 countries, Vietnam, Indonesia, Timor-Leste, and PNG, in the coffee value chain. And that loan was for CapEx, capital investment of an instant coffee factory in Vietnam, as well as the financing of the working capital, which means the funds needed to buy from the farmers and to store the inventory and to move it to the clients. We also gave a technical assistance to train 20,000 farmers in those 4 countries. And the last example is, as I say, I'm very excited with retail. We made an $80 million investment in John Keel's equity investment. It's a supermarket chain in Sri Lanka. And we combined that with a technical assistance to train 2,000 fruits and vegetable farmers who are connected to this supermarket. And so, again, in terms of impact, 45 new supermarkets, including in rural areas, 7,000 jobs, and more than 3,000 farmers impacted. And we have many more examples in that space. So I think for you, in terms of business opportunities, as you can see, there is an opportunity to provide the equipment that we are financing, from the fertilizer machines to the greenhouse, livestock farms, to the food processing factories, and all the way to the cooling system for cold storage and retail. So I think a huge space for business for you guys. The next slide is another type of business. I mentioned technical assistance a few times, and so that's the other space where that's a good business potentially for you if you're a consulting firm, because as I mentioned, we try to work with companies and see what they do already with the farmers and try to build on that to expand this impact all the way to ideally expand that at national level with government. So it's really a continuum between what the company is already doing and what we could do across the value chain and across the country, including with the government ultimately. And we have an example of that when we work with Olam on the coffee sector. We just started first with Olam, and now this program on the coffee sector has expanded, has been taken over by the government to train all coffee farmers in Timor-Leste. So I don't have the full list here, but we have like 20 of such projects. And I think if you monitor the CMS, you will see there is a lot of opportunities to bid for these contracts, again, to work in partnership with our clients to deliver impact for the farmers. I will stop here and I will let the video play, and I'll stay for a while for any questions. Thank you.
So the core of our business is our own operations in greenhouses. For some flowers, particularly carnations, we can contract out to farmers who have less investment. And so we have quite a big contract farming operation.
Nay tôi đang hợp tác với công ty Farm để trồng hoa. Diện tích trồng hoa của tôi nó có khoảng 1 hectare. Farm ấy thì nó có nó mấy lý do thế này. Một ấy là công ty thì cung cấp giống. Hai là về bên kỹ thuật, công ty cung cấp cho. Cái thứ ba là khi mình mà thu hoạch bông ấy thì công ty sẽ thu mua cho mình với cái giá mà ổn định. Có nghĩa là trong năm ấy người ta sẽ chốt một cái giá để cho người nông dân ấy khi làm là có một cái khoản lời nhất định, nên là nó rất là ổn định cho người nông dân.
So we have a whole network of people around us who we support, or who also support us. And we try and support them with technical knowledge and also with money. So we have a loan program to help them invest if they need to put up shelters or put in irrigation. We started here 30 years ago and we wanted to do organic vegetables. And from that, we found a partner in the flower business and we started growing flowers up here in Dalat and exporting them to the rest of Asia. We're trying to double the size of our business. We're doing that here in Vietnam. We're particularly expanding in China and we're trying to expand in Indonesia as well. I think we've had a pretty big influence in terms of developing techniques, and when we first came here there was not a single piece of shelter, greenhouse or anything in the whole of Dalat, and now of course almost 5,000 hectares of covered growing. I mean, we're one of the biggest employers in this area and it has been phenomenal watching it over the last 30 years develop.
Yeah, I attended a lot of training during 22 years. Yeah, I was training to become a manager. Besides that, I can get a good salary. Now, when I work here, I have more chance to improve myself.
There is just so much to do to provide healthy food to consumers, prosperity to farmers, excellence to the industry, and sustainability in the use of natural resources in the region.
Thank you very much for the attention that you are paying to the delivery of this session on agriculture. I want to thank Martin for the presentation, and thank you for staying on as long as you can with us, and hopefully you will be here for the Q&A, and if not, your questions can be answered by perhaps another team member. We have 17 more minutes and 2 speakers only. So I'd like to invite now our director, Jingfeng Zhang, who is director of Southeast Asia and the Pacific, to deliver his presentation. Then his presentation will be followed by a short presentation from procurement with some specifics that you need to know. Then we will go into the Q&A. Thank you. Oh, I would like to remind you, I would love to receive your questions in that app so we can actually have a Q&A. We could also do it live if you prefer, but it will be great if you can already send your questions through the Events Air app.
A very good afternoon. Now, welcome you all to the Southeast Asia and the Pacific. Earlier, Qingfeng has shared with us ADB's food system transformation, and also Yoshi has shared with you the 5 pillars for food system transformation. In Southeast Asia and the Pacific, to operationalize the food system transformation, we focus on the key areas for our agricultural food sector operation. For example, in terms of promoting use of climate-smart agricultural practice, in terms of also supporting the adoption of advanced technologies, and also ensure sustainable and efficient use of land and water resources and biodiversity conservation. An important part of our operation is on the enhanced disaster preparedness and the climate resilience, as well as the strengthening public infrastructure and the services. Another important work we're doing in Southeast Asia and the Pacific is on promoting private sector investment. And actually, we have several joint operations with Martin's team from our private sector operation side. Just quick information for you. Our ongoing portfolio is about 3.16 billion. And you can see overall it's quite balanced across countries with Indonesia and Cambodia has a larger portion of ongoing portfolio. For 2025 up to 2028, for Southeast Asia and the Pacific, we have projects in total amounting about 7.1 billion for the coming years. This is already included in ADB's work plan and the budget framework, and I will share more information later. And you can see, and it's led by Philippines and Indonesia. Let me share with you first this flagship initiative that we are leading. This is a Resilient River Basin Initiative. On the Resilient River Basin Initiative, basically, we adopt the comprehensive source-to-sea perspective, applying landscape and system approach to build and improve the resilience and sustainability of river basins. And also, under this initiative, we promote both cross-border and intra-country, regional, and district upstream works and knowledge sharing by bringing together river basin managers, regional knowledge institutes, and international networks. It is estimated for ASEAN countries in the coming decade, the total investment requirement for the river basin sustainability and the resilience will be almost $120 billion US. And for this exercise, actually, we would like also to work with the partners. And from ADB side, ADB has already pipelined about 3.4 billion up to 2028. Together with the investments at the country level, we have also put forward a regional technical assistance to help us also to bring together and integrate the solutions, technology, financing, partnership, and the sustainability all together. The second flagship program we're doing for Southeast Asia and the Pacific is on the coastal resilience program. And basically, for the coastal resilience, important for us in terms of the ecosystem-based adaptation, as well as on the infrastructure support, look into the hybrid solutions, including the nature-based solutions. Another important aspect for the coastal program is enhancing coastal resilience, as well as supporting the integrated coastal zone management. Specifically, I would like to share with you the works we're doing in Pacific countries. We are taking this climate, food, and nature nexus approach in supporting our Pacific DMCs. In particular, our key objective is helping enhancing the food security as well as nutrition in Pacific countries through our works, for example, on agriculture and fisheries, as well as in the agri-food value chains development. The second key area of our operations in Pacific is on enhancing coastal resilience and protection, given the such high vulnerability of our Pacific countries to the impact of climate change. And we are also helping the countries on flood control, natural capital, and the biodiversity conservation as well. And similarly, as in Southeast Asia and other regions, throughout our operations, we would like to introduce the different technologies, good agricultural practice, as well as look into stronger cross-sector collaborations. And here is also some of the projects in the pipeline for Pacific countries. Another important work we're doing in the region is on promoting regional cooperation and the integration. Here, I would like to share with you the 3 key RCI initiatives. The first one is in the GMS Sustainable Agriculture and Food Security Program. The second one is in the GMS Climate Change and the Environmental Sustainability Program. On the both programs, we get together the government agencies, development partners, private sector, academia all together. And also last year, the GMS Agriculture Ministers Meeting was held, as well as the GMS Environment Ministers Meeting was held as well. And both ministers' meetings have endorsed the strategic GMS cooperation strategic document up to 2030. And right now, ADB is working on preparing the next phase of these 2 flagship regional cooperation programs in GMS. We are also working together with ASEAN in supporting the post-2025 ASEAN agenda to strengthen regional food security, including, for example, review of ASEAN +3 emergency rice reserve system, developing early warning function of ASEAN food security information system. And we will also organize together with ASEAN on a regional agricultural trade forum with the private sector participation as well. And another important aspect is mainstreaming nutrition as a core pillar. I will just quickly share with you some of the flagship initiatives. But first of all, this is an overview of the, as I mentioned earlier, the pipeline we have for Southeast Asia and the Pacific. And I group those forthcoming projects under the 5 pillars, which Yoshi also shared with you earlier. And you can look into more detail, any interest that you may have on any of those projects. I would be happy to talk with you more separately. And this is one Fiji project. This is a project is on enhancing climate resilience of coastal communities. Even though money-wise, it's a small project, only about $16 million US, but actually it's moving forward as one of the key projects for us, because through this project, we'll be able to pilot and come up with better coastal resilient solutions tailored to the country and the local situations. Now coming to the Thailand project. This is kind of also, I would say, a flagship project of both government of Thailand as well as ADB and the different partners. In total, ADB will finance this project for about 1.4 billion US dollars through multi-tranche financing facility. And we have also co-financing from different partners, including World Bank, AFD, and also OPEC Fund, and also several other financing sources. Another key initiative which we will work on is we are working right now with our Philippines government on developing the integrated flood resilience and adaptation investment program. This program will also use the multi-tranche financing facility, and we will look into the flood resilience and the adaptation in the principal river basins in the country. So this is another flagship initiatives that we're doing right now in our host country. And this is just procurement packages. And I will just stop my presentation here. Thank you so much.
I thank our director for this presentation. I'd like to ask the room to put back that presentation because I do want to cast the QR codes. I think everyone needs to access the projects that are in the pipeline, and we need to share the QR codes, please. I think you need to go back. Voila. I think there are two more as well, but I'll give you a minute for the photos. And if you can go back one more, I think there were two QR codes on exactly the complete list. Okay, so right now I'd like to invite procurement specialist assigned to the agriculture sector, Talat Nasirov, to come up and deliver his short presentation on some key let's say, achievements in procurement or issues that we're facing or areas where we need your support. And right after him, all panelists will come up to the podium for the Q&A. Talat, please, you have the floor.
Good afternoon, dear participants. My name is Talat Nasirov. I'm a procurement specialist assigned to agriculture projects. My presentation will be about what are we doing differently in a new light in terms of procurement in this agriculture sector. So I'd like just to brief you on a roster which we use in the Pacific region, our framework and agreements and framework contracts, and also we use simplified consultants qualification selection in agriculture sector projects. As you may know, on ADB website, you will see that ADB and World Bank prepare the roster of consulting companies specialized in design and construction supervision for Pacific region countries. Unfortunately, in agriculture sector, only one firm has been pre-qualified. So that's why we decided to re-advertise request for expression of interest. So it was posted on our website on September 4, and the deadline for submission is October 10. Please, firms which are interested and have experience in design and construction supervision, you are welcome to submit your expression of interest. The next one is a framework agreements. So we use a framework agreements to engage with individual consultants. So far, we advertised 11 positions or 11 areas of expertise. Some of them are cross-cutting, like a gender and safeguard specialists. Some of them are very specialized, like agronomies or livestock management specialists. So far, it's only 11 areas now, but we are going to expand this number of areas in the future and maybe next year. and also number of experts within each area where we will feel some lack of experts. The next one is a framework contract. We use a framework contracts for very complex phased and repeated assignments. So we use a quality-based selection when we recruit one company, sign with this company framework contract, and whenever there is a demand for some specific assignment, we send them call-offs. Next one, you may be familiar that ADB piloted simplified consultant qualification selection method just a couple years ago, and we continue using it. It's a single-stage selection process when we advertise request for expression of interest together with a request for proposal, and then we just receive your proposals, technical and financial, evaluate, and then award the contract. This we use for small and straightforward assignments with an estimated budget below $500,000. Thank you. That's it about our what are we doing differently. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Talat. So I will now invite all our panelists to come up for a short Q&A session. We do already have some questions in the app that we will take, and again, participants, you are allowed, if you need to present live in the room, if you need to raise your question. So please come on, Yoshi, Yasmin, Jingfeng. Thank you very much. No, just. Hear me? Yes. Okay, so we've already received a few questions in the app, and I will raise some of them. The Glacier to Farm initiative. So I'll address this question to you, Yasmin. Do you engage with ICIMOD on this, as they've been working? They've been a key institute on working in this core topic.
So I should have added there that, of course, ICIMOD, a very trusted partner working with ADB over a long period. We have, at the moment, an ongoing technical assistance, also looking at glaciers, but not in the Central West region, covering the Hindu Kush Himalaya region, and that's where we've engaged ICIMOD to provide their guidance. So they are working with us on glaciers, but in the South Asia region. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I'll direct this question to any member of the panel who would like to ask. Are there opportunities related to coffee production and market system? Is there anyone who would like to take this?
Yes, actually, we have operations on coffee sector, for example, in Timor-Leste, as well as in Vietnam. We have also supporting the coffee farmers also by providing the technology as well as infrastructure and the equipment. And also for coffee, I'm not so sure Martin is still there. It would also be good if Martin can share from private sector side.
No, he's not.
Then I will also speak on behalf of Martin. And actually, I mentioned the work we're doing in Timor-Leste on coffee. Actually, the operations started from the work that our private sector colleagues was doing in Timor-Leste. Then the public sector coming in to help to scale up the initiative.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, there is a question, again, I think I would leave it to the panel to decide which one of you will take this. ADB is looking at crypto blockchain-based technology to provide innovative finance to micro growers. Is this something that ADB is looking at? Again, crypto blockchain-based technology.
If I may just start, innovative financing as well as advanced technology, for example, digital solution, is one of the key areas that ADB would like to work together with the partners in coming up with better, more efficient solutions. Yeah.
Maybe I can just add there as well to supplement Zhang Feng, that maybe some of these ideas which are a little bit more progressive and forward-thinking for some of our countries, where we would really benefit is starting to introduce that technical assistance type of support, so bringing in specialists. So yes, it would definitely be of interest.
Thank you. So moving on to other questions. Other IFIs have been actively working in Central Asian countries with integrated approaches, landscape, watershed, DRM, pasture and forest management. Are these considered by ADB? Are there any in the project concept?
Yes. So I believe in my presentation a lot of those topics were shared. And equally under the Glaciers to Farms, the entire premise of it is a regional landscape-based approach, considering all of those elements that were listed in the question.
Okay. Also, is there an overarching agricultural framework or strategic plan of ADB which it is following that you could tell us more about? And is this information available publicly, like a strategic plan? Yeah.
And then this one, actually, if Qin-Feng is here, Qin-Feng can elaborate more. Actually, Qin-Feng already touched in his presentation. ADB is right now working on the food system transformation approach paper. And on this approach paper, and Yoshi also earlier informed the 5 pillars for food system transformation in terms of supporting agriculture and the value chain development, natural capital protection, infrastructure for resilient food system, social protection, as well as health and nutrition.
Okay, thank you very much. There are 2 questions I think perhaps procurement may need to address. One of them relates to the roster for the Pacific regarding the firms that bid. So the question indicates that one main criteria was experience in the region, and that, of course, enabled only Australian firms to be, to qualify, and so that other companies did not have a chance. Is there something that, in re-advertising, ADB is changing to enable wider participation in this roster for the Pacific?
Thank you. Actually, this selection is not, limited only to Australia and New Zealand. For example, in energy sector, we have many firms from other European countries as well. So there is no such restriction. Of course, the experience shall be in the region, but there are other countries from European countries. So they have been also pre-qualified for other sectors as well. So there is no such a strong restrictions that only experience in the Pacific.
Thank you very much for clarifying that, and I'd invite also our director to add some more onto that.
Yeah, for this one, actually, in the re-advertisement, we have also more clearly informed about the works AFNR sector is doing in Pacific. It is not only just on agriculture production. As I presented earlier, it also involves, for example, coastal resilience, flood risk management, and also others, which require also very strong engineer skills, inputs. So I highly encourage interested partners to submit your proposal. Thank you.
All right, and there's another question of interest that I would like to pose to our panel. Is ADB open to co-financing or co-developing carbon projects for carbon credit, biochar, afforestation, reforestation, and revegetation?
Well, I'd be interested to know the context of the co-financing, because we, of course, do encourage co-financing for our overall investment projects. But I'm assuming here the question may be asking about the upstream design work and looking at being engaged in the upstream design process, to which we would be willing to consider and discuss further. So I'm not sure where the question came from, but whoever it was who wrote that, would be happy to discuss with you after this to understand a little bit more about the area you're specifically discussing, number one. And number two, of course, the country context, because what we do find in certain countries is around the carbon markets, there are particular requirements from government as well on the access of that financing all the way down to the farmers.
Okay.
And just to quickly add, carbon market, green bond, the blue bond actually has been a key area we have been working on. For example, in Philippines, we are working on a marine and coastal biodiversity investment program. And we always welcome co-financing. And also for information, from our sector side, we have also coming up with the natural capital financing hub. We would also welcome co-financing and the partnership from the natural capital financing hub. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to close the panel. We are 10 minutes over, and I want to thank you so much for your rapt attention. Our room has remained full to the brim throughout this hour and 40 minutes. So again, I thank you. We look forward to seeing you next year. We look forward to seeing you online. Our team is available to take any further questions. Our procurement team are in the office, in the room. Thank you, Talat, Yangzam, and others who are in the room. We are very pleased to serve, and we thank you for the privilege of your time. Have a good afternoon.